What's going on, everyone? Gilman with Live Wealthy back with our daily Apple update video where we take a look at Apple stock and how it traded today. Some things going on in the market that could impact the future stock price, as well as what the future support and resistance points for Apple could be. So real quick, if you enjoy these videos, hit that like button down below. It helps us be seen by others that might be interested in the content, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy these videos. I try to do these daily, and it really helps me out. I'm trying to get to a bigger subscriber number. And then comment down below what you think the future for Apple is, or if you're invested in Apple. I'd love to hear more about kind of what you guys invest in or what you've recently done. So taking a look at the one-day chart, Apple is down $3 today, 2.55%. Taking just really quickly right off the bat, comparing it to NASDAQ was down 1.65%. Dow was down 384 points, about 1.34%, and S&P was down about 1.5%. So comparatively, right, we've got a little 1.65, less than 1.5, about 1.5. Apple was down 2.5, right? So relative weakness there in the big names, right? Same thing with Google, 2.5%, Microsoft, 2.5%. So not to say Apple's like out of the ordinary down, but you know, big tech sort of had a bit more of a sell-off today. If you go to my video yesterday though, right, we talked about this. I talked about kind of two scenarios, right? I talked about, hey, we broke under that AEMA in the 119s, and now we could, if we were to ride that, we could ride that up. Or what I talked about for most of my video yesterday was, hey, there's been relative weakness. If we go back to last Monday where we gapped up to from once high 116s, 117 to this high 119s level, and then midweek we came down to the 118.20s. we do have the remaining gap fill, right? And I talked about the fact that the gap fill was there, and now we had two support in the 50-day moving average and the 21-day exponential moving average. I basically, mentioned over and over again that with the weakness, if we were to break it, we could see us going down and filling that gap. And we did that, but then some, right? So let's take a look at how the stock sort of started. So we gapped up, pushed up. For those of you that know, I held two positions, one of which was a put position, meaning I was betting the stock to go down in the short term, and the other is a vertical spread, meaning I was by this Friday expecting the stock to go up. So when this gap up and open happened, I was really closely monitoring the AEMA. I was monitoring the VWAP, as I always do, to kind of see, if the stock is weak. If the stock continues strong, right, if this gap up and move up continued, I would have exited my put position. But sure enough, it didn't. We broke below VWAP, tried hitting it, came way down, barely broke above it a couple times, right, and then went down. And then from that point on, we never touched it. Now, when we were at this level where we dropped, and then we were kind of, at this 118.30s, right? So this point here perfectly probably parallels. I didn't really do this, but yeah, right there, it's pretty close, right? The 118.23 today from where we were and the gap down, and filling that gap. So that served as a quick resistance, but then we kept going downward. And around this point, right, when we hit the 117s, remember I talked about potentially bouncing from the 117 level. let me just share my order. So this put that was on 15% on Friday, right, 15% gain. It was only one contract, so not a huge dollar amount, but the percentage is good. On Friday it was at 15%. I had mentioned that I was thinking of exiting it. Today when the market opened and it gapped up, I was actually down about 10-12%, but I held on, and with the weakness I exited at about 25%. Clearly I could have done a whole lot more. I probably could have gotten 30-35% if I held on, but 25% was sort of my goal, and I thought that once the 117 support would hold. So I had set that limit order ahead of time, and I was sort of away from the computer when it happened. But all that to say, right, I talked about the gap fill. The gap fill should have ended right there at the 117s, right? We had the 50-day moving average, 21 EMA, and the gap fill finishing. But then we continued the sell-off, made a little push back up to the 116s, and then we fell again into the close. Now, what do we have in terms of future support and future resistance? So let's take a look at the daily chart. So we were in a lower low, lower high, and then higher high, higher low, change of trend. Now it almost looks like the trend is reversing, right? We're making not higher highs and higher lows anymore. As a matter of fact, we had a green candle, red candle, basically nothing, green, red, and then another red. So depending on how tomorrow goes and the day after, we could potentially see a reversal of trend. I personally don't think that that's happening, but we'll see. This 112.72, the 113s level, it goes back as support and resistance for a really long time, right? So if we're above that point, it acts as support, something where we can bounce off of. So, you know, going back to early October, and then even, you know, early September here, we could see that this is sort of like the point where if you're under it, it acts as resistance. If you're above it, it acts as good support. So that's all the way down there. And then let me take a look at some other indicators, right? So I mentioned this 50-day moving average in the 117.12 that I thought would hold up along with the 21 EMA, but when I saw that momentum going down, right, we barely even held on to that. Now, the one thing to look at though is right here, check out the 20-day moving average number. It's at 115.66. If we go to the 1-day chart, our low for the day was exactly 115.66, and then we decided to bounce up a little from there. So that 20-day moving average support really held up greatly. So that would be the next level to watch if we were to go down. And then taking a look at the EMAs, what we have, let me go back to the daily chart and scroll right back where we were. And what we have is, so I talked about this 8 EMA, which we clearly broke. We were above it for a little bit, but we broke it. 21 EMA, kind of similar to the 50-day moving average that I just mentioned of 117, that we also broke. And the next EMA to look out for is a 34 EMA, which is at 115.76. And then the next EMA is at 112.90. So again, you know, the 34 exponential moving average at 115.76 kind of aligns with the 20-day moving average at 115.66, right? So high 115s will be a good support point. And then the next support point, if we were to go down from that, is that 113 mark, but also the 55 EMA at 112.90, right? So those would be the next level of supports. I think some interesting things are happening this week outside of just you know, Apple stock, but also within Apple stock. So let's take a look at that. The first thing is, over the weekend, Pelosi sort of set a deadline of Tuesday, that's tomorrow, for both sides to reach an agreement, because the election is only 2 weeks away. So for them to have enough time to make a deal, they need to come up with something that they agree on by tomorrow. Does it happen? Potentially, right? But do they have any real incentive to make it happen? I personally don't think so. Again, it could happen, but I think a lot of people are saying that it's probably just, it's become too political at this point, and they're just going to wait until the election, because if Biden were to win, the Democrats would probably have an easier time getting their larger bill passed, and then the Republicans right now are not willing to, you know, move up. They've moved up, I think, a couple times from 1.4 to 1.8. But I think the Democrats want $2.4 trillion. So they're not really able to reach an agreement there. And then the other thing that we kind of have coming up is the iPhone 12 orders. They've already beat the iPhone 11 line in 2019 in terms of the number of pre-orders, as we sort of expected, right? It's a 5G phone and the first one for Apple, so that could be great news as well. But today overall was not that great. So again, if we were to gap down or open down, the two levels I just mentioned in the 50-day, in the 20-day moving average and the 20-day moving average and 34 EMA are the next points to look out for. And then if we were to go up, you know, anything that previously held as resistance would, or anything that we had trouble breaking over before would kind of be resistance points, right? So yeah, I mean, if we were to take a look at the 20 or the 8 EMA and the 21 EMA, 116.92, we could make a push for the 21 EMA, and then the 8 EMA is at 118.42. So if we were to make a push for those, I think that, you know, the stock could do pretty well, and then have a resistance in the highs for today, which were, let's see what it was, 120.42. But yeah, the other thing that I kind of saw happening is, I don't know why it keeps doing this. Why 1 day, 1 hour. Okay, it's not going to cooperate with me. But I was going to talk about a potential bull flag forming with Apple. But you know, for that to happen, it would need to close above 120 and then keep basically going in a bull flag pattern. But you know, because we've closed so much lower than 120, I think that pattern might be broken. But I'll keep you guys updated on that for a potential breakout. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys were able to sort of control your positions from what I had said yesterday about the gap down, and you know, weren't fully you know, crazily impacted by it. I'm still in my spread position for this Friday. I'll look to manage that in the next couple of days if we stay down. I'm hoping for the stock to kind of not necessarily make it back to where it was before this dip, but you know, definitely potentially kind of move in that direction in the next couple of days, again depending on the stimulus updates, depending on kind of everything else that's going on in the market. So be sure to you know, be on the lookout for that. I entered another spread expiring next Friday with the dip, so hopefully if it was a dip, I'll be profitable on that, and we'll kind of see that in the next couple of days. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Well, that's all I had for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new. I try to do these videos daily. Let's remember to be a bit better every single day, and until next time.